Hi everyone, today I'm going to be replacing the in-car entertainment screen in the BMW X3 F25. The built-in screen is this small one here, and it has the standard display items with it. It says very little functionality on this car. There's no telephone integration, there's no maps, there's no sort of sat-nav, and it's not very good, although it sounds okay. The CDs sound great, and the radio sounds great, but it's just a standard radio, not a DAB, which is fine. So these are the current controls. Obviously we've got the standard CD player interface there, and we've got the standard control joystick next to the gear stick. So this is the kit that's come through from Droid. We have in here a very nice instruction manual, which has lots of pictures in it. It goes through the different stages of what you have to do. What I have noticed is that it doesn't really tell you how to install the cables, but it does. Obviously it details all the connections and some of the settings that you have to do. So this is, as an example, this is for the camera, the back of the car. This cable here is between the camera and the front of the car. That's got to go through the car somehow, and that's obviously going to be quite a piece of work to get that in. So the video cover all of the actual work, but for now that's that. We have the new screen, which looks pretty cool. It's enormous. That's the new camera to go on the handle. The car doesn't have a reversing camera at the moment, so you can add that as an extra. That's the cable I spoke about that goes from the back to the front of the car. It's obviously quite long, and I'm going to have to find a route for that. That's a power cable, I think, probably for the same thing, but we'll find out. And then we have lots of connector blocks and crimps and things. Some of them just go in between existing connectors, others perhaps are a bit more complicated, but we'll find out along the way. Let's get to it. Okay, right, instruction number 1 says remove the front trim using a trim removal tool. Gently pry along and unclip the trim from the dashboard. There are connections on the back of this, so remove safely. And it shows a little spudger tool going underneath here. This is different to this. There's obviously a different type of car. This is the generic instruction set, so it's not going to be exactly the same as my car. Let's just hope the differences aren't too severe. So there's a bit of a gap under there. I would hope that I don't need my spudger tools, it just comes loose. Hopefully I can just pop that forward. Now, in here it doesn't say disconnect the battery. And the ignition is off, but am I concerned about unplugging things? Well, if they're on a sensing system, then yes, potentially. But I don't know. I'm going to trust in it for now and just go with it. There we go, that came free easily. There's 3 plugs, 1 for the start button and 2 for these, I don't know what they're for actually. I suppose they monitor the positions of the flaps and things and adjust them for you. Well, very exciting. Right, next it says, once removed, carefully remove the connectors. Oh, I've already done that, hurrah. Then it talks about for 1, 3 and 4 series removing a plastic trim below, which I don't think they have. There seems to be something under there. We'll have a look. And it says remove the T20 screws which hold the climate control panel and disc spleen screen on E-series models, there may be Phillips screws. Once removed, undo the connectors behind. And simply hold the tabs down and undo the connectors and remove the panel. Okay, well I can see 2 screws up here. So where are the ones at the bottom then? There is a little thing there. It's almost like there's a trim that wants to be loose. Tell you what, let's undo the top ones, see what happens. I'm just going to pop my screws in the cup holder, keep them safe. Okay, we just checked out another source, and this, apparently this piece under here should just come away like so. There we go. I didn't want to do it without really checking. And that is a sensor on there. You can see it's got a cable on it there. Put it in there somehow. Maybe we can just leave it here for now and undo the screws. Oh, 2 connectors. Now I'm just going to pop these off. These will slide back across. It says open. Might have to get something to tease them. Alright, of course, and now see, you have to, if you push down this part here, you can then take that across and off it comes. That's rather good. And the same here, so you push that bit down, and this will then come forward. There we go. And that will come out. Exciting. Okay, so that's that. What's next? Okay, pull out the unit gently. Okay, remove the T20 screws which hold the main unit in place. There are 2 or 4 screws depending on your head unit, and then pull out the unit gently. Okay, so that's that screw, that screw. Let's do those. These look exactly the same as the ones I've already taken out, so it's rather good if they're all the same. Okay. Gently take it out. Ooh, Alpine. Very exciting. Look at that. It's an Alpine head unit. Okay, now what am I doing with this? These two. On the back of here. On the back of here, it looks like I got two aerial connections and a big old beastie. I'm not sure what they all are. Let's see what it says. Pull out the unit gently, careful not to scratch your interior trim, covering the trim, yeah, okay, I'm being careful. Remove the main harness, press down on the side tabs, pull the harness lock, and gently pull open the lock and remove the harness. Okay, so let's just pull this up, push in the side tabs on the harness, and hopefully that comes away like so. That's very exciting. Good. Something like that. Trim. Same scratching anything. What does it say next? Okay, so remove the main harness. Next. These instructions are pretty good. Well done, Droid. Plug the original harness into the new harness. To do this, have the lock mechanism open all the way. Then push the connector into the new harness as far as possible with the lock still fully open. Slowly close the lock mechanism. Make sure it's a very secure solid connection, otherwise you experience problems. Right, let's get the connector. Okay, well here's the harness. There's lots of bits to this. I guess they're all in, it's all one thing. It's got a cable tie around it. Anyway, right, so plug the original harness into the new harness. Okay, so the original harness is here. Let's get this out of the way for now. Pop that up there. Here's the new harness. Here's the original harness. So I plugged it in. Okay, so that's got to go into here. With that up all the way. That should down into here. It does talk about optical connections as well. On the next one down, it says important, do not miss this step. If your car has optical cables, remove these from the original harness. Lift up the tab holding it and slide them out. These need to be plugged into the new harness so it can go back in the back of the main unit. Okay, well, I can probably do that after we plug this in. Or can I? There's a tab on the left there. These are the optical ones. There's green and black here, and there's a tab on the side. So I know it's in the corner with the green in the corner. So if I push this tab, see if I can release it. It's a very small little thing to push. Just there. Or perhaps I can pull that away to do it. There we go, so that's coming out now, there we go. So that's out, that's the optical connection. Not sure what the optical connection connects to, but given that the only optical thing I think is in the CD player, but there we go, I'll try and work out, maybe I'll put a comment in later. This now goes into the harness as requested. Let's make sure it's open before it goes in. There we go, it goes in, that's clamped down nice and tight. Hopefully locks in position. Like so. And then the optical thing needs to go into this end of the harness. I might drop these away because they're obviously a bunch of cables that need to go somewhere. I'll just kind of around and get him in the way. Let's just pop those on here for now. And the optical thing goes into a new harness in the corner. Tape's kind of in the way. Let's see if I can free up a bit. Don't want to kink the optical connection. Optical goes into... Green was on the corner, wasn't it? So green on the corner, that can go in there. There it is. It's in. Right. Okay. So that's ready to go. So that's in the new harness. Plug the new end of the Android harness into the back of the main unit. Follow the same steps as before when you plugged in the original harness to the new harness. Make sure the lock is open and then connect it. Okay. Doesn't talk about putting the main unit back again. It just talks about plugging it in. So let's plug it in anyway. So that's what it says. That's what we'll do. This goes onto the back of here. And it's in the up position. And I can see the optical connection there, which should all marry up when that goes in like that. That's gone in very nicely. And that should just go home like that. Good. That's very exciting. What happens now? Now it says remove the video cable from the back of the screen. Okay, well that means I've got to remove the screen, which means I've got to undo that and that. Let's see if I can get to those without dropping them. Easier said than done. Pop that in there. The screen that has those connections on it. So, remove the video connector from the back of the original screen, then remove the screen. Some vehicles there may be an additional power connector plugged into the screen somewhere. Remove this, you'll not need it later. Okay, only need the video connector, which I guess is that. How does that come off now? Oh, like that. That was easy. Push in the tab, slide it off. I guess this is the additional power connector we'll talk about. Push in the ends and take it off. There we go. And this was made by Johnson Controls. How exciting. Who'd have thought Johnson's making stuff for BMW. Still, it's not done bad. Okay, what's next? Remove the screen. You may now begin routing the cables to the screen area. There may be routes to take to do this. You may use the one you find best. Yes, so routing the cables is up to you how you do that. Route the main power cable, USB connector cables, GPS cable and 4G antenna cable, if applicable, to where the original video cable is, ready for plugging into the screen. Okay, so then you need to come into this area. That's fine, I can do that. The GPS antenna needs to be placed at as good a location as high as possible. USB connectors you can route to where you find most convenient. I think I might actually put the USB into this central console. It's quite a useful place for it. In the case of what needs to route where, then, where are all these? Camera det, camera plus 12, camera rear in. And what this is, funny connector. Lots of cables. And they show lots of cables appearing through the top here. Very exciting. I guess that's the main one for the screen. Because the screen is the new hub of everything, so it would make sense that it did. Okay, so this, theoretically, this could route up with these other cables straight up the front without doing any harm at all. Let's see how practical that is. Could go into the back of the screen over here, which is where that needs to go. That's quite cool. Okay. Yeah, good. I think that should be fine. Not sure what this is for yet. Let's work it out. Right. So what does it say? We're going to route the main power cable, the USB connected cables, GPS and 4G connectors. There's lots of different connectors. Must be all these as well. Obviously the one for the camera on the back. Which way I'm going to take that? Whether I go down the side or like what? Have a look for a cable route. What else we got there? So we got a bundle of cables there, video. Wow. DVR, video in. No idea what all those do. Aux, left. Interesting, a microphone. Okay, so there's a mic input. Well, I'm going to need a mic input because if you're going to use it for a telephone connection, you need a microphone. And this, I guess, is a GPS antenna by the looks of it. Oof, that's a bit bad. Yep. And maybe it's DAB. Don't know. Another antenna of some sort. Maybe that's a GPS. I don't know where I'm going to put all of these things. It'd be nice if they went inside a window pillar. Maybe I'll see if I can get one of those off and put them up inside that. If they need to be at high level. I have an audio cable. Audio out. And we have a rather large USB cable. Seems to have two USB ends. USB 1, USB 2. I have no idea what they're for. It'd be nice to know what all this stuff's for. This little diagram at the bottom here actually shows lots of different connectors and different colours they are. So that's quite a useful thing. It helps me to understand. Okay, so there's a few things in here which I'm just going to kind of get in for now. Example is this USB, which I'm not sure why there are two USB ports on this, but this needs to be connected into the screen, and I want these to be appearing down here, so I'm going to get those to appear down here, and maybe trim this trim that goes in the bottom to allow them to pop through. So that's just for now. I'm just going to feed them through here. I'll work out how to trim that later. Find a route. Those now appear down here in this little area, and I can push them in or whatever. I'm assuming that you put a little USB connector for your phone on there. That's fine. Nice and accessible, centre of the car, useful for people in the back as well. That'd be great. This GPS connection, I'm actually just gonna, this is only used if you've got a 4G card in the unit. I haven't got a 4G SIM for the unit. I'm gonna see what it does without. If I need to buy one, then I will, but for now I'm just gonna pop this inside the dashboard and just kind of leave it there. And if I need to dig it out and do something with it, then I will. So that's just gonna sit in here, neatly out of the way. Nice little cubby for it to sit in. It's quite nice, so that's now there. Similar with this, this is a 4G antenna. Well, so the GPS antenna is actually obviously global positioning. That's more relevant. This is a 4G connection. This is the one you use with the SIM. Sorry, I was going the wrong way around. But again, I'm just going to pop this in here for now, so that it's back here. But you know, it'll get the signals through the dashboard. Not as great as putting it up high, but it'll be fine. Let's just take a run out of there. So we can get some slack on it. Tighten that up. Sit behind there. Nice and tidy. So we've got our USBs, we've got our GPS, we've got our 4G. The USB connection is there, power additional inputs, no connection got, that's that there, and the other one's in there. So I think we're kind of getting there. We've got the original video as well. That could all connect in, but there are a few connections here that kind of need to be done behind here. camera connection for the back of the car. That's one of them. Definitely need to do that. Let's just have a quick scoot forward and see what else there is. Yeah, so now we're into once everything is plugged in and connected, which is obviously the next stage. So need to get that camera connection in. So what we're finding here is that there's nothing heading over there, which is unfortunate. There is a power cable that leads down here, disappears under the floor. We've got this big bundle of cables here that goes over into here. That's the fuse board I was talking about. And you'll notice there's a big bunch of cables that goes that way. So I'm going to see where those go behind here. Let me take this off and look and see what goes on in there. Okay, what we can now see is the cable loom behind here disappears into this sort of area adjacent to the back seat. Okay, take this fixing off. Come on. There you go. So you can see the cables now disappearing down, and I can see they go downwards. So I guess they go along the bottom by the floor, so maybe that's our cable route. See if we can open up that route along in the car. Okay, so if they come down inside this piece next to the back seat here, behind here, you can see them in behind here. So that's behind this section by the back seat. So they run down inside this. They must then go under this trim, which is along the floor. So what I'm going to try and do is just get this trim up. Let's see what's beneath it, if we can. I'm just pulling on this, and these fixings are coming adrift. Wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. What we now see is the cables come through under here. So this is definitely a route. There's a bolt connector there, disappearing under the carpet here into a containment run. So I need to see if I can find that containment run at the front as well. I'm also going to take the trim off the boot and just get into there, have a look at the back of where that camera goes. The cover just pulls off, but it's quite tough. Like so. That's after undoing the two screws in the pull handles. So what you now see is this loom here. It does all the lights. This comes down through here, and I'll be able to access this by pulling it away, which will then get me back down into here underneath, which is fine. We can route all the way through there. The handle is up in here. What's this component here? There's that wire there. So I need to go right to this position. What I'm not seeing is any spare cables for any cameras. There is a slot where the camera would go in the original housing. it should be easy enough to change it if it fits. But yeah, anyway, maybe I'll put it in and we'll feed the cable back through. This looks to have just clips along the edges. So here's the new one. It's got a series of clips that hold it in. I'm going to just try and push those in. Here we go. Let's come away. Let's take the cable out. That's interesting. Cable came out with a whole micro switch on the end of it. So that's the old one, and that's the new one. The new one, there's nowhere for that micro switch to go, but the old one has a housing on it. So now I'm left with a problem, because the new one won't work, because there's nothing for the switch to go into. What it does look like though is there's the cover over this. So let's see if I can get the cover part off this. Bring it down here. There we go. Cover. Now, take those off. Hopefully. There we go. Let's pop that back in. There we go. Now I should be able to take this connection and pop it back in here where it will. Certainly works. Nice. That's in. Good. Well, there we go. That's in. Now I need to get this cable to it from the front of the car, which means getting it all the way back through that concertina thing down the edge of the boot and everywhere. Right, I've got all of these in position connected. These two red cables need to connect together according to the instructions. The black that goes with the red that you would expect to provide a ground or neutral connection for the camera. That they say in the instructions don't attach it, so I'm just going to tape that out of the way, crimp the red, and hopefully that'll work. If you need to see any of this, pause the time lapse. Okay, through that time lapse, we've now got the camera cable all the way back to the back seat line, and we're going to follow this route down through that cable loom that I found earlier. So I'm going to poke it in here, and hopefully it's going to come out down the bottom. Hopefully it might be easier to poke something up. Should be here. I'm hoping pop this up. And these clips will just kind of pull out. I thought maybe the whole thing slides on. That's how it's supposed to work. Oh, I can't see that until you do it. There's more boxing. This cable's so thin, it's tempting just to kind of tuck it in here. But nice to get it in with all the others if you could. And so, permanently hidden. I'm actually realising this cable's quite short. What I'm going to do is just dress it in around the trims and not try and get it into the original containment because it's so buried. It's going to be perfectly protected behind these trims. Under the dashboard there's a panel. There's a couple of screws that hold it at the back, and then it just clips along the front. I'm going to take this off, and the idea is that this cable that's currently just under this trim, I'm going to feed in under here and get it across to inside here, tie it inside here, get it across to the middle, and then I can get it up to the center console. There's actually not enough there's not enough slack on it to do anything other than that, so I'm just going to crack on and get that done. So first off, let's get these screws out. Okay, so I now have this cable for the rear camera that goes to the main loom, and I have this cable that comes from the camera at the back of the car. So obviously those two can plug together, and I've got this cable which is the 12 volt feed for the camera, and this one that says 12 volt camera. So I'm going to crimp those using a crimp. Oh yeah, that's that. That can now be pushed back out of the way, neat and tidy. I think we're in a pretty good place for this now. Start getting this screen connected. So that will go into there, and there's a clip on it to go that way around, and it goes in like that. The blue one goes on there. I'm doing the easy ones first. Goes on there. This silver one, okay, it's a bit tight on that. That one's just going to go out of the way somewhere. I'll just tuck that in there. That one will go for the USB, and it can go this way around, like so. Is for this. And basically, like that. Looks pretty neat. Okay, so everything's back together, except this bottom bit, which I'm going to do. If I turn on the ignition, what I can't do is play music because YouTube will get cross with me for plagiarism. But you can see connected drivers come up on the screen here, and it says going on the radio at the moment. So obviously powering up. Phone is starting. It's very exciting. It's obviously working. I suppose the question is, how good is it? But I'm not really going to be able to tell you that from this review. This is about installing it, which was not quite as simple, not quite as simple as I expected. There was a bit more to it than I thought. There we go. So this is yeah, okay. this has come up with CarPlay because I've actually connected this telephone to it, and it says CarPlay on the screen, so CarPlay is working. So that's rather exciting. And those options are there because they're on my phone, which I'm not going to go into. If I unplug CarPlay, presumably it'll drop off that. There we go. I can probably well, let's just check the normal menu works. So if I press and hold the menu button for a little bit, there we go, we get that's the original screen. This is a little extra bit going on here. If I go into radio, then I can hear the radio, but I'm going to turn it down so you can't. Normal screen's a bit darker than the CarPlay screen, but because it's a black with white. But there we go. It's working as it always did, exactly the same as it was. That's all normal. And if I press and hold menu on the center, it goes back into the system, and there's obviously lots going on there. Access to car information, that's the telephone connection, dashboard. Wow, lots of exciting things to look into. If I were to start the car, and if I put it in reverse, we get a no signal warning. And there's obviously some issue with the camera, which I'm going to have to look into. But as a first go, I think that's pretty good. I hope that was useful. It looks pretty impressive. It's certainly a massive upgrade on what was here before. I need to find out what's wrong with that camera and yeah, get it all working. I think I'm going to investigate getting a 4G card for this and see what that makes of it as well. Presumably means you don't need to sync your phone, but we'll get Bluetooth going on it as well. And yeah, there we go. I hope that was useful. If it was, give it a like and subscribe and put some comments in the chat. Lots of questions. Let's answer some questions. Thanks for watching. Take care.